Warthunder just released an autumn sale lasting from September 29th until October 6th at 12 GMT, and it puts all starter packs in the Gaijin store 50% off. And I know that's very boring, so that's why in this video I'm ranking every Warthunder nation from the worst to the best in my opinion. And don't worry, my opinions are sort of backed by a bunch of data. You guys are absolutely gonna hate this one, but I think right now the worst nation in Warthunder may be Germany. Germany has consistently low win rates across the board, and with the somewhat recent nerfs to the Leos at 10.7 and above, it gets really hard to play them at top tier. Airwise for Germany, the early props and late jets are pretty good, but the giant middle section is just quite mid. The next worst, I believe, is probably the USSR. They do have some pretty bright spots at top tier, but before that, your survivability is absolutely atrocious. Not to mention, a lot of the maps have a lot of hills and elevation, and you don't have depression with Russia. Aircraft wise, you can't really go wrong with Russia, but there's nothing really stand out unless you're using like the top tier lineups. The third worst nation in my opinion is probably the United States. Again, there are some pretty bright spots scattered around win rate wise, but overall their weaponry tends to lack and be delayed, and the teammates are absolutely atrocious. You tend to have a lot of premium BRs, and the players in there just don't know what they're doing a majority of the time. Taking the fourth worst spot is probably China. They're a mix of the USSR, the United States, and a mix of their own technology, so they tend to be slightly better than those two nations, but they still lack in a lot of survivability and armor that's much needed. And then airwise, the current Chinese top tier can't really compete with the Rafale and Eurofighter dominance. Next up, we have Italy. Italy is a good mix of nations, and they are pretty fun with a focus on light vehicles. But overall, Italy doesn't start to shine until later BRs of like 7.7 and above. And when you get to that point, it's usually only 1 or 2 vehicles per rank that are good. But they do have the additional perk of having Hungary, which gives them both a Gripen and a 2A7. Starting off our top 5, in my opinion, is Israel. They take some good parts from the American, British, and French air trees, and they combine it with some domestic tanks, which overall are not bad at all. But my issue with them is that they're kind of lacking a lot of coverage because the trees are so small. Taking 4th place, I believe, is Japan. Japan's air tree is extremely fun, with a lot of early props being able to outturn basically anything in late tier American stuff. And now with the addition of Thailand, we got both really good tanks and really good aircraft, including a Gripen. But what makes Japan really stand out is their 4-second autoloaders at top tier and their middle tier domination both at props and tanks. I believe the third best nation is Sweden, a really small tree, improved leopards that are better than the German ones, some of the best light tanks in the game, a really good set of decent propeller aircraft, and a somewhat decent top tier aircraft lineup with a really good Gripen C and a pretty good FA-18C MLU-2. These two aircraft are some of the most defensive aircraft in the game, allowing you to dodge any missile headed your way. Taking 2nd place, I believe, is Great Britain. They offer a wide variety of both aircraft and tanks that you can drive that have a multitude of different roles, and they're all good at them. And if you look at the win rate charts, Great Britain is rarely below 48%. The thing that makes Great Britain so good is that they have access to so many different vehicles just because they had so many nations in the past. Like for example, for air, you get the Eurofighter, Gripen, and FA-18s. And even in the future, we could see them get the Rafale. And the best nation in War Thunder, I believe, currently is France. Now, low tier France is quite painful, I'll give you that, but they have good armor at low BRs, and at later BRs, they tend to have a lot of autoloaders. On top of that, the French aircraft are always really good for their BR. I never really had issues with them. Additionally, they tend to have some of the best missiles in the game, with radar missiles starting at 8.3, Magic 1s, Magic 2s, and Mikas. And to top it all off, they have some really good SPAA and cast options with Nords and Hammers. And finally, referencing the win rate chart, just look how good top tier France is. You cannot beat that. And a reminder, these are my opinions. You're allowed to choose and like whatever nation you want. These are just based off the win rates.